This session is about the Ottoman Empire and Hajj. And now we are inviting from Kırklareli University, Faculty of Theology, to the floor, Associate Professor Dr. Nevzat Erkan, distinguished President, distinguished participants, distinguished guests. I would like to send you my greetings, and I'm going to talk about the meshakkat dimension during the Ottoman Empire. Especially this meshakkat dimension is also talked about in the hadiths. There is a saying that Hajj is a meshakkat, and when we see this from this point of view, so as in these verses I'm reading, it talks about what meshakkat is during the Hajj period. So the candidates of Hajj were in the roads and confronting with many challenges, but they have the love of the Prophet, so they could assume all sorts of hardships, and they managed to get rid of them. And I will tell you about the registry. The Ottoman Qadi has some duties. It's not only the contradictions in the legal contradictions, but also there are lots of other things they were dealing with. For example, the registry. The registry talks about the people who were dead and what happened to their belongings afterwards, and what happened to their belongings after their death, and the problems faced with. Are all expressed among the lines of certain parts of the registry. So there are standardized patterns, the addresses, the profession, and social status, their titles were all registered. El-Hake title was given to some of them. El-Hak is given much more than the others. So we have listened to some presentations about the Hajj of the children. Till this day, we haven't encountered that the children went to Hajj. Sheikh Ahmedi bin Ibn Akın talked about the women in a kafile, and the women were experiencing hardships in the Hajj period at those times. So when we look at the registry, were the people going there old, or were they men only, or certain information about the merchants, for example. So you understand from what they are doing, registered, that some people died during the Hajj, and the age the people went to Hajj is also registered. We see that old people usually go to Hajj, but also young people are registered. In 1570, 17 and 18, the Ottomans uh, spent the Ottomans spent 2% from the treasury for these Hajj organizations, and also Ottoman Empire made the repairs of the roads and waterways. And when we see the court registry, uh, the person going to Hajj sells the real estate to provide money for Hajj, and starts the journey. Then this Haji comes to Istanbul, but unfortunately his money is not enough. Uh, he faces with hardships, but uh, he tries to make himself appropriate in terms of this financial situation to start to carry on with the journey to Hajj. So financially appropriate, this situation of being appropriate financially is as important as the situation for the bodily situation. 80, 80 uh, gold was given to a Muslim to finish, to complete the Hajj duty. This gold is gilding, it's a gilt. And the military people could go to Hajj, but the person who was working in the who was working in the mint can also, in the royal mint, for example, can go to Hajj, but they had to take permission from the state. The person who is carrying on with these duties before going to Hajj has to find an imam who will undertake his position when he was on the way to Hajj. If he has a small child, for example, so a person was appointed as the trustee to look after the child when he goes to Hajj. From Istanbul to Damascus and then to Mecca is the way, but sometimes people come to Hajj from Belgrade. So it takes 1 year to reach to reach Mecca. So during these journeys, lots of things happen. Sometimes in the near family members, close memory members, um, uh, inherits the books, the precious books, to the people, to the family members, close family members, if anything happens during the Hajj route. So the journey is a very hard one, as I have just said. It takes 8 or 9 months from the highway in the court registry. We see that there are Hajis who were drowned in the sea, and also who were killed due to the epidemics on the way. So these Hajis find some journey friends. So, as you know, we have our friends, but there is also another friendship, which is Hajj friendship. That is that also um, this friend takes the inheritance of that Hajj and make it into money and give it to the family. So that friend is very important for the Haji to carry out the affairs after his death. And there is, for example, the enemy ship who takes them as slaves and as captives, and they may die on the way. If they were debited, this debit is paid, and sometimes there appears delays. Then when they were late, people think that they were dead, and such rumors surround the area, and the people immediately share his belongings. So when he comes 2 days later, he sees that all the belongings were shared by the others. So he has to deal with this issue and trying to take the belongings back. The family of the Haji was very in a hard position sometimes. For example, in Alexandria, the Haji died, and the wife says that the Haji died, but he was debited. So this time the wife is in trouble because she has to prove that that Haji was dead. at those times there were slaves, servants, and some of them are different from the others in the practice. Some slaves in practice were different. So they also receive some money after the inheritance after the death of the master. So um, it is a sacred place, and in Ottoman uh, society, these people take a title which refers to the respectful uh, look to them, and this inheritance issue is very important. Our friends are working on the Damascus inheritance. Uh, so thank you very much for listening to me. I'd like to express my thanks to Presidency of Religious Affairs and the DG as well. Yes, thank you very much. We have listened to Professor Dr. Nevzat Erkan.